Hello, and welcome back to the Science of Gaming. In the first episode of the series, we explored one of the first components of what makes gaming not just special, but actually good for us. We delved into some of the many ways that video games help us build strength. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it above and in the description down below. Today we dive a little deeper, moving on to perception and how gaming aids, shapes, and improves our perception. So how do video games help us build perception? In order to understand that, we have to take a step back by getting a deeper understanding of not just what perception is, but what immersion is as well. Let's start with perception. Perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. It's a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something. It's something that leaves a mental impression on us. Perception is a process. It's a process of becoming aware of something through the senses. When we play video games, watch television, drive our cars, interact with our families, or just plain stop to smell the roses, we are activating our perception. And that activation helps us form an intuitive understanding and insight of the subject that we're perceiving.
Every rose has its thorn. Only the good die young, slow and steady, wins the race, and what you see is what you get. Except that in reality, several varieties of roses do not have thorns. Both the good and the bad on occasion tragically die young. Fast and steady beats slow and steady every time, and what you see is, well, our perception, or how we order the cacophonous chaos of our environment, is heavily influenced, biased even, by our expectations, experiences, moods, and even cultural norms. And we can be pretty good at fooling ourselves. In the last two lessons, we've learned how we see shapes and colors, hear sounds, and smell and taste the world's chemical concoctions. But our senses mean little without our brain's ability to organize and translate that data into meaningful perceptions. Without perception, your mother's face is just a combination of shapes. Without the ability to interpret scent, we couldn't differentiate the smell of toast from a grease fire. Our perception is the process that allows us to make meaning out of our senses and experience the world around us.
Let's play with a completely random example of stopping to smell the roses, something we should all probably do a bit more of nowadays. When you stop to smell a rose, you first have to see it. You can't go off to smell a physical object when you can't see it. We use our eyes to perceive, to see. And when we've found it, we use our hands to touch, to feel the silky suede-like petals, its rough leaves. We use our nose to draw its scent into our bodies, our brains to tell us if we like what we're feeling or smelling. When we stop to smell a rose, we immerse ourselves in it. If you've been with us long enough, you've undoubtedly come across our Why We Love series, where we ramble endlessly about the games we love and why we love them, highlighting how immersive their experiences are. Immersion has many definitions, but one of my favorites? The action of immersing someone or something in liquid. I know. It's so dramatic, but haven't you learned the kind of videos that I like to make by now? Okay, so maybe you're not literally submerged in liquid while you're gaming. If you are, you might want to get that looked at, but just indulge me here. When you walk into the Sacravino South in Metal Gear Solid 3 and pull out your sniper rifle to survey the area through your scope, and realize the second that you go back to third-person view that the end, one of the many villains of our story, is standing right beside you with his rifle pointed at your head, you may not have been submerged in liquid, but you most certainly feel like it. That first time that you played Team Fortress 2 online with other real, living, breathing human beings, you dove right in. That beautiful scene in Red Dead Redemption on the ride to Mexico, the one that made you feel like you were literally at the center of the action, the one that made you feel like the leading character in your own movie. I've still got the saddle sores implanted in my brain from that experience. You see, the brighter the petals, the more cutting the thorns, the more pungent the smell at the bud, the more immersive our rose grows, and the more it changes our perception. It's this immersion that taught us that stoves were hot, that dark was scary, so maybe you shouldn't walk down a dark alleyway alone, that pineapple belongs on pizza. Yeah, I said it. You might not even like the way that roses smell, but even negative experiences frame the way we look at the world. You might run past someone wearing rose-scented perfume one day and remember that time that you tried to pick one and ended up in the emergency room because rose 1 and you 0. But if you associate the scent with something negative, and you smell that negative scent on someone, you may immediately associate that person with something negative because you were so immersed into an experience that it changed the way that you perceived it. Video games allow us to experience immersion not just digitally, but in real life in so many ways. That first time that you drove through Los Santos and, as Goober Guy puts it, heard the cars make that clinking sound when you turn them off and they're hot. When you first heard your characters flip-flops flip-flop. When you saw how intricately built the city was, you were immersed in it. You began to perceive the city of Los Angeles, what it looked like, what it would feel like to drive through those sun-ripened Hollywood hills with the top down. You could almost feel the sun on your back. And for those that might think that the way that the city is built in GTA 5 is a stretch to the realism of it, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're dead wrong. Do you have any idea how many buildings I've driven past in GTA 5 that, as a native Californian, I've actually lived in? It's that immersive. Sure, you might not get the smell, the touch, unless you're caressing your TV while you play for some reason, but any of those senses helps to build immersion, which helps to change perception. Even older games like Super Mario Bros. Can change your perception. It isn't just about the graphics. So what are video games changing your perception about? If you've never been to LA, GTA 5 might help you get a great view of the city, of a life outside of your own, of people that are different from you. You get to connect with players online that, sure, can be a pain in your rear at times, but also can help you win, can teach you about teamwork, can make you laugh, or make you think of things in ways that you never thought of them before. If you're playing Metal Gear Solid 3, you get an intimate experience where you're submerged into the life of an American spy. You see and feel it all, from the highs of preventing a world war and being the hero the world deserves, to the low of having to take out your mentor in order to do it, to the introspective moments when you wade through the ghosts of everyone you've ever ended and have to literally submerge yourself into that, into the consequences of your actions. Something about life and the way you see it has changed in your perception. Video games don't just change the way that you perceive things with your brain, they change the way you see things with your eyes as well.
One first saying that I'm sure you all have heard is the fact that too much screen time makes your eyesight worse. That's a statement about vision. There may be vision scientists among you. We actually know how to test that statement. We can step into the lab and measure how good your vision is. Well, guess what? People that don't play a lot of action games, that don't actually spend a lot of time in front of screens, have normal, or what we call corrected to normal vision. That's okay. The issue is what happens with these guys that actually indulge into playing video games like 5 hours per week, 10 hours per week, 15 hours per week. By that statement, their vision should be really bad, right? Guess what? Their vision is really, really good. It's better than those that don't play. And it's better in two different ways. The first way is that they're actually able to resolve small detail in the context of clutter. Though that means being able to read the fine print on prescription rather than using magnifier glasses, you can actually do it with just your eyesight. The other way that they are better is actually being able to resolve different levels of gray. Imagine you're driving in the fog. That makes a difference between seeing the car in front of you and avoiding the accident or getting into an accident. So we're actually leveraging that work to develop games for patients with low vision and to have an impact on retraining their brain to see better.
Previous research shows that gaming improves other visual skills, such as the ability to track several objects at the same time and paying attention to a series of fast-moving events. First-person shooter games train your brain and help you see better. So the next time your eye doctor recommends glasses or contact lenses, let them know, I'm okay, doc. I've got Call of Duty. Just kidding, don't do that. These are just some of the ways that video games aid perception. What are some of the ways you think video games help you perceive? Sound off in the comments down below. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps our channel out. Share it on your Reddit threads, tell your friends, show it to your optometrist. If you like this channel and the content that we're putting out, please consider becoming one of our patrons.